The Nielsen ratings have come out for the week of Halo 2 Season 4. It took a slight dip in the rankings, but I mainly want to focus on the viewership numbers. And I'm going to explain here the method that I'm using so that it's easy to follow. I'm using the Nielsen ratings every week. That's all we have. Samba TV hasn't done anything. Paramount hasn't released anything. So this is the best we can do. So the method is very simple. What we're doing is assuming that every person that watches the show is watching the full episode each week. So you can see episode 1, 2 is the easiest. You just divide the minutes watched by the runtime, and that puts you about 3.4 million viewers. The next week, 53-minute runtime, 458 million minutes watched. I'm assuming these 3.4 million viewers carried over. So I multiply that by the runtime, subtract those viewers out, because they would only be watching this one episode, and then I divide the remaining minutes watched by the combined runtime of episode 1, 2, and 3, assuming that the people that started the show started at season 2, episode 1, and watched all 3 episodes that week. And then I continue that every week. That's kind of the best we can do. And this is pretty conservative because this is the best situation for Paramount. Obviously, this doesn't take into account if someone rewatches it, if someone decides, hey, I'm going to try that show out. It's got 2 seasons. They binge all of season 1 and catch up that week. It doesn't take into account people who watch for 10 minutes and go, not for me, which would be the worst case for Paramount, obviously. If you have 338 million minutes watched, and that number is actually 34 million people who watched 10 minutes each and turned it off, would be awful for Paramount, obviously. So I'm trying to give them the best case scenario. I'll be as objective as I can, but I want to be transparent. I am hoping the show gets canceled so that we can get a good lore-based live-action Halo with a big budget sooner rather than later. So episode 4 was like the peak of the season for advertising, at least, and they saw a slight bump from the previous week based on what we know. They've gone up steadily these first 2 episodes, and what I'm really curious to see is in 2 weeks the episode ratings for number 6, because episode 5 I don't think anybody liked. So I think that'll be the point where if people are going to drop the show, that's where we'll start to see it, is in episode 6. Now, obviously, as far as the show getting a season 3, there's a million variables that we just don't have access to. They're trying to sell Paramount Plus off because it's losing hundreds of millions of dollars. A show like Halo got a $90 million budget the first season plus marketing. We don't know what the budget was for second season, but it's obviously much lower. And they did 1 less episode. My guess is about 40 to 50 million. We don't know if the executives are going to say, screw it, let's create 5 dramas for 10 million each and cancel the Halo show. We don't know if they're going to say, hey, we cut the budget and the show got better ratings, so let's keep it going super low budget. We just have no idea. So I just kind of want to look at the numbers and the trends, and we'll see what happens. Something that people need to be aware of, though, is that when Halo Season 1 came out, it set a record for viewership in the first 24 hours of over 5 million. We don't know the exact number. We just know it was over 5 million. At the time, Paramount had about 40 million subscribers. Now they have about 70. So the subscriber count has almost doubled, and we can see the viewership right now at its peak is about the same as episode 1 of season 1. And something we also don't know is how much rewatchability does this show have? Are people watching it over and over in between seasons? Do they watch it one time and say, never go back to it? That's all just stuff that we can't know. So I don't want to go too long with this because we can see the show is trending up, which is good for the show, but we just don't know so many things that it's hard to make a definitive statement. Obviously, it's seen like a 70% increase over the 3-week time period, which is good, but we don't know. This is all based on assumptions of every person watching only the newest episode or only the season 2 episodes in full. So this number could be much worse as far as Paramount's concerned. These random numbers I have over to the right, you can see are just me doing the math for this week. Same thing, just subtracting the 5.2 million, assuming they all watched episode 4, and then dividing the remaining minutes by the first 4 episode runtimes, under the assumption that anyone else is going to watch all 4 episodes in full. They're not just going to start at episode 4. If you were to straight up divide the minutes watched by the runtime, you'd get a much bigger number, like 8 million or something ridiculous, which is essentially impossible, that the number of viewers could possibly double with people never watching the show and then just watching episode 4. As of right now, there's been no announcement for a season 3. My guess is there won't be until Paramount Plus is sold and then the next company makes decisions. I don't know when that'll be. Kiki Wolf actually said they wanted the Fall of Reach to be bigger, but they didn't get enough money. So not a good sign in their faith in the product. But who knows? If they feel like they can keep it low budget with good viewers, maybe they'll keep going. Something to think about is a Paramount Plus subscription for the cheapest one is like $6 a month. If the Halo show runs for 2 months, people signed up just for that show. Let's just assume 6 million viewers. You're talking 36 million bucks times 2 for the 2 months, 70 million bucks. Is that enough to cover this show, even low budget with production and marketing and all that? Who knows? These are all things that we're not privy to. My guess is we're going to see a dip in one of the next 2 episodes, and that will carry on to the end of the season. But if it keeps trending up, who knows? So if you're a fan of the show and you want season 3, I think you have reason to be optimistic. And if you hate it and want it to be canceled like I do, I think you could be cautiously optimistic, but there's way too much that we just don't know. If it's as simple as more viewers means they'll keep it, then it's going to get a season 3 at least. But the bad news for those people also is that if a season 3 isn't in the works already and they have to wait for it to be announced, it's not coming before 2026. And my guess would probably be more like 2027. So we'll see. I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to ramble on. The season's done. I'm going to try to make a full season review soon. Let me know what you think. Do you think my method is fair, unfair, inaccurate, accurate? If there's any way I can improve it and take more variables into account, let me know. I'll try to respond to all the comments as long as they're not just insults. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.